Well, it seems I've done it. Hopefully, this does not collapse. It's nearly...
He's losing his mind. And I'm reaping all the benefits.
All right. Well, I think it broke. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So,
Okay.
taking that out. So anyway, no, I have a little intro and the intro wouldn't play at all. So we were clicking clips trying to get something to work. So anyway, folks, here we are. Welcome.
Are we in 19?
I am going to re-upload the clip so we can have officially, because I went through too much trouble to make this freaking clip because we're still battling the copyright with the freaking song. So we're trying it again. So, but no, hopefully everybody out there is doing well. Welcome to another Pops Angels episode. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to talk about Some Like It Hot. Wow, talk about a great film and great memories. And with me is two of the angels. Arlena, great to have you. What's going on?
Hello. Not a whole lot. You know, work, and more work.
That's right. That's right. Well, hopefully you've had a good time taking a break from that, enjoying revisiting this movie and talking about it for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have to give Arwyn the credit. I think she was sort of the nudge over the finish line of the contenders of what film or content to talk about this time. So, yes, it is indeed Arwyn Avalon's in the house. Lady, how are you feeling? What's going on?
Better. I feel so much better. Not much is going on. I'm just getting stuff done that I wasn't able to get done when I was sick. So I'm trying to do that. And I don't know. I'm here and I love Marilyn Monroe and I love this movie and I'm excited.
Fair
oh
enough.
my God, y'all. I've been walking around the house all day going, bum, bum, da-na, 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 that one Cedar Jack all over the movie. I love it.
Oh, I know. I was doing Cary, really, really horrible Cary Grant type impressions, which is nothing more than like the ripoff of the Tony Curtis version of Cary Grant. So, all right. So the video, we're going to try again. I have to keep trying because I want to make sure if the copyright's going to go through or not. So we're going to try. Let's see how it goes.
All right.
Good morning, angels.
There we go. We officially start the show now. There we go.
Love it. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, we keep tinkering with it. We change the speed. We change the cuts. We'll see if we can finally find one. They won't flag, folks, but we're going to get that. We will find a way. Loki hasn't tried the AI generator yet because it's obviously magnificently good at cheating the system. So we'll try that as well. But with that, let's start off with Curtis. Curtis is saying he would like to be on another stream right now, but he wanted to give our support. Love, leaving a like, comment, share out. Thank you so much, Curtis. We appreciate that from all of you guys out there. So, and then look at this, right in the front row. Look at this, like there's people out here. Yeah, like this, the fans. Yeah, look at that. Very good. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for that. So, you have never heard of this movie? I'm interested to hear about it. Wow, Corey, we are going to take you to old school classic cinema, a film that I'm pretty sure is considered among the greatest comedies of all time. It was something that I had not heard of until I was in college, and Entertainment Weekly put out these. There's a couple different issues, but one particular was, 100 movies that you have to watch, and then there was like those greatest by categories. Yeah. And this was one of those top 10 on those type of lists. And I'm like, what is this movie? And I just sat there. I just couldn't believe how good this was because 1959, I was like, holy cow, look at what they get with 65. It is criminal that they were able to do this in 1959, and we can't even have these kind of jokes today. Like the world is so upside down. It's completely insane. So,
yes.
Claude Sailing, hope you're doing well, my friend. Great to see you. Princess Leia Rose. Leia, hit me up on Twitter if you want to be one of our guest angels. I should have invited you. We had to cancel it. We have some empty seats, so feel free. If you want to be one of our guest angels, feel free. Look at PJ in the house. Hey, brother, high fives to you. Hey, great to see you, man. Throwing in those emojis. Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Hail to everyone. Slasher Fred, great, brother. I think it was what makes Some Like It Hot is such a tremendous screwball comedy is it's the first to introduce cross-dressing in movies, which later be used in Tootsie, Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes, and Nuns on the Run, I believe, also I will throw in there because I think it also reminded me of this movie. Plot-wise, probably more in line with this movie than even the other two, which are more like just cross-dressing. But Nuns on the Run is almost like a really fun, almost like a reboot. It's like they just did something different, but it's kind of the same, basically, right?
And
And
if you, I was
also in a young body. Look at that. Jacob Ironside is in the house. Great to have you, my friend. So go ahead, Arlena.
sorry about that. I was just going to say it always makes me think of Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Yeah, but they're not on the run from the mobsters, though. Right?
No, but I mean,
but it's pretty close. Yeah, because they're drag
Wesley
queens.
Snipes and drag.
Oh, with those big guns.
So
and they couldn't even do that movie today. They would have a problem with that movie today.
It's
the whole thing.
Yeah, I want to think it was Penny. People, you guys know Penny in chat. I think it was Penny, and I ended up down the rabbit hole, and I had to let Penny pick one, and I think she had me watch Tu Wong Fu. So yes, if you go to my channel, there is a video of me giving you my thoughts on Tu Wong Fu, and I think at some point I'm going to squeeze that in for a talk card. I don't know how to navigate. I don't know how to navigate that with Loki, getting that through. I feel pretty confident that Ironcaster probably hasn't seen it. And Squeaka has seen so few things. I feel like there's a good chance she hasn't seen it. So it's more like when pops get to just play a pick. Like I don't usually do that often, but I think that's one that I got to have like in my back pocket for that. So that's
It's a legitimately funny movie. I thought there was some moments, oh my God, where Wesley Snipes says to the old lady, "Girl, did you just do a Yui?" Because she just kind of wanders around the yard in a circle. I can't. And Julie Newmar was amazing. She's the whole thing. But anyway, it's a great movie, great film. Do it. I want to see them watch it.
Yes. Oh my God, that would be great.
So one of the things, again, do you guys, I mean, I shared briefly, do you guys have a sort of like a first time you found this film? You kind of grew up on this film? Anything? What do you have some like origin stories of like this film for you guys?
Okay, so it might be kind of silly, but it was because of Madonna, Material Girl, that I found out about this movie. Because it took me down a rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, Marilyn Monroe. Let's look at all her movies. And, oh, that looks like a fun movie. And,
there you go.
I have to be honest, I would not have made those dots connect, but hey, I'm happy that it worked for you. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of the same thing. I discovered Marilyn Monroe when I first got into college. And like really, I knew who she was, but like really discovered who she was as an actress, who she was as a performer, the different films she made. And I was just all up in that. I was fascinated. I'm like, I love this woman. I connect with this woman for some weird reason. And my drama teacher was talking about it one day in class. He was like, have y'all ever seen Something Like It Hot? And most of us were like, no. He says, y'all got to watch this movie. And then he started to talk about it. Well, the theme itself, I'm like, Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis in drag. I'm there. I got to see this movie because I wanted to see what they did with it. And ever since then, I was like, I've found my tribe. Yes, but this is my movie. I love it. So that's how I found it, just by Marilyn Monroe, and then my teacher talking about it. I was like, I went home that day and I watched it, and I found
awesome. Mark is here. Great, brother. Yes, a Tu Wong Fu reference. John Leguizamo was scarily good as the drag. Like, it was eerie. Yeah. Like, it was a little, yes. Hey, Mark, by the way, we do not have a Bosley. So if you want a link, feel free to let me know. You'd be more than happy to be a Bosley if you felt up to joining us for any reason. So Daryl was not able to be here. So, Scott, thank you so much. $5 super sticker, Scott. Thank you so much for your membership, your support. Be careful out there, my brother. Appreciate you and all you do to support me and this channel and all of us out there. We appreciate you, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I think what made Billy Wilder such a very famous director is how movies always involved couples. like his next movie, The Apartment, which later featured Jack Lemmon with Shirley MacLaine. Oh, interesting. I think Billy Wilder is one of those that is Hollywood has moved on so far from the resume that we're not giving him the credit that he deserves. This is a masterpiece for, no offense, Arwyn, but she is a pain in the butt to work with. So he did an amazing job dealing with her and all of her drama and difficulties. So
Yeah,
this is a masterpiece. So
at that point, she was actually pregnant, I believe, during the filming of this movie. And of course, she had already had, I think at this point, some
A couple of
flirtation with,
miscarriages.
yeah, she had
Yeah.
complications and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
and then she was, I think starting to get into, I don't know about pharmaceuticals while she was pregnant. I don't know. But I know, a lot of them were like that. They worked long hours. They were constantly on the go, and they started taking all kinds of medications to keep them up and awake and all that. But yeah, she did. She had, like, I know the scene with her and Tony Curtis where they're in the boat, and they're kind of bantering back and forth, and she thinks he's, this is his ship, his yacht, and all that. I forget what line it was, but there was one line where they had to take it like 30 times.
Yep.
She was just she wasn't doing it the way the director was telling her to do it, and
Yep.
there was a lot of that in this film. But she was pregnant in this film, I believe.
It was driving them nuts for sure.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it was.
No, listen, Mark, hey, never hard feelings, brother. Go out there, support Loki and that channel. I appreciate it. This is my once a month thing, so I totally get I'm up against folks. I mean, I think Mike Pacific 414 has a great Transformers stream going on right now. Obviously, Zax is going to be on it a little bit. So, I mean, look, I get it. This is just our once a month. Come hang out, talk old cinema, talk old performers, and just kind of love for that era of stuff. So, let's just jump into just the beauty of this film. And I want to kind of Slasher Fred talked about this whole St. Valentine's Day massacre was a huge incident back in the late 20s. We still don't know whether or not Al Capone was, well, we do know. Come on.
Well, yes.
But yes, so this film is so beautifully done, and I kind of had forgotten how beautiful this is. There's no real dialogue at first, right? They're just going on this crazy chase scene and all these beautiful shots that are happening with the cops trailing them, and just really love. My wife and I were just like enthralled with how great this was. And not that we haven't seen this movie. We watch it, I want to say semi-regularly. It's probably been 2 years since we've seen it. I know we saw it definitely during the pandemic, so 1920, and then we saw it again after we had moved here. So we've seen it twice since 2019. So this is technically it's my third and my fourth time because I watched it twice for this show. But all of this I thought was just such a brilliant sequence. And of course, it does center around our little mafia friends here and what's going on with the girls. And there's our two leads. But let's back up to our mobsters because we want to get to them for sure.
Saxophone and bull fiddle.
There he is. Here's our Capone ripoff. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys? I mean, you guys get what I'm saying about like just the element of not having that much dialogue and just the cinematography. It doesn't sort of get credit, right? Because this film is about them being in drag and the comedic elements, or whatever. But I watched this first few minutes, I was just really enthralled at how well that was done.
Oh yeah,
it's not what you expect when you go into it, because all I knew is, like I said, the two guys in drag for a reason, and then Marilyn Monroe for a reason. They all come together for a reason. But you're right. This whole first segment, it sets the scene, it sets the mood, it sets the characters, it sets the pacing. It really is good. It does. It sucks you into what's going on here. I'm invested now. I need to see the rest of it to see how this unfolds.
But look at the scale of this. Little, he's undercover. He's the federal agent that's going to do the bust on the bootleg alcohol and stuff, running their club. And here's our little mafia team. And on location, fancy costumes, set design, detail, cinematography. It's really, really an underrated segment because we get to our stars, right? I mean, we get to our stars and we kind of like forget about everything else in some ways. But this massive setup of what's going on, them running the club or not, gives us everything we need to know about how hardcore the crime is and what they're under. And of course, they're just running out the back alley trying to find a way to make a leg for it. So,
Mhm.
and then we kind of get one of our first. They kind of let the gag go, and if there was my short, I almost have to make up reasons to have complaints. I bear with me, folks, if you disagree with my sentiment, but I almost feel like I have to, like, you know, to how do you criticize a near perfect film? It's like you almost have to manufacture things. They kind of let this really good running joke go, where Tony Curtis's character, Joe, is always willing to bet everything they have on some crazy scheme. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
no matter what, he's always willing to literally. He gambles away their coats in the winter. Like, that gag kind of goes away later in the movie because they're so immersed into their, you know, I want to say lust, but yeah, their lust for the hot chicks. But yeah, so
Mhm. Yeah.
hail to
Agreed.
we got a polar bear in our house. Hey, good to see you.
Snorty.
Hey, Snorty.
Yeah.
I think to me, one of the brilliance of this film is how they take these totally different seeming situations. You've got, you know, the mobsters, you've got, you know, the dryness of the country. You know, we were definitely alcohol, we were on prohibition. You got all this stuff going on. Then you got this girl band going to Florida. And how these two get involved, to me, it's brilliant storytelling. How they, you know, because it's feasible. I'm like, yeah, okay, it may be fantasy, but at the same time, I buy them as chicks in this band. I do. So I love that. I love how they set the story, but then they kind of do a little twist on you. And it's actually this story, but then the beginning story comes back. And yeah, it's brilliant. I love the storytelling, how they just weave it all together.
Yeah, they did such a good job, right, Arlena, of like giving us a base of a reason that we can believe on why they would be on the lam and go to this extreme. Again, for 1959, this is extreme. It would be crazy for anyone anyway, but they give you a pretty good reason that you could believe that this would even happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, the movie is 1959, but the events are supposed to be in the 1930s. So then you got to think back even further.
Yeah.
When in it's the 30s, right? That's when Prohibition was around. And so you got to think back even further. And it's like, yeah, this really has to be believable.
Mm-hmm.
And they just did such a wonderful job of the writing. And it really is seamless. It's very
is
believable. They are ugly women, but it is believable.
Josephine and Daphne.
Yeah, they're not.
But Jack Lemmon is almost too good at all of this, right? Like it's almost
Yeah.
like it's just. I mean, Tony Curtis is Josephine always comes across as like reluctantly in drag. You always feel, you know, he's only got one thing on his mind when he sees Marilyn Monroe's character Sugar, but but Jack Lemmon is just like unhinged as Daphne. Like it is completely nuts. So we'll get to more of that in a minute for sure. So I don't know if any of you have seen it, the comedy gangster movie, children's perspective, Bugsy Malone's Tony Danza, young Jodie Foster. All right, Arwyn's seen it. Cool.
Yeah, I have. And let me tell you, it is a mood. It is a mood and a vibe all on its own. But I enjoyed it. It was one of those movies I went into, didn't really know what to expect. It came out going, what did I just watch? But I enjoyed it.
Had me at a loss. Good one, Fred. Thank you for that.
I enjoyed it.
Good. Lots of hellos back and forth. Fred's talking about Madonna's 80s Material Girl. That again, yeah, Arlena kind of opened with that, a little bit of that homage type stuff for sure. And that kind of got her down the Marilyn Monroe rabbit hole to seek out her stuff and things like that. So I actually asked my daughter, well, let's just not be distracted because I will be distracted. I asked my daughter, right? Because, you know, they're 20-year-olds, right? So like, what do they even think of when I say Marilyn Monroe? Because I was like a little tricky, like, interesting. Because it's like, it's one of these things where her reputation, her life outside of her stardom and her celebrity status, things that they kind of come to my mind first, and that's sad, but it is just true, right? I'm just sorry. It's just
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
But I asked her, she said literally only like the one image, right? The her over the gate, the the grate where the wind is blowing up her skirt and her hands,
Yeah.
that image is all she had really, and she didn't have much to go on. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. Do you you guys have children, so I didn't know if you guys have ever interacted with them enough in an area to kind of gauge where Marilyn's reputation even kind of is now.
Yeah. Well, my middle daughter is 27, and when she was a teenager, she fell in love with Audrey Hepburn. And of course, you got all these during that time. You have all the stuff that has Audrey on it, but with Audrey is Marilyn. So she discovered who Marilyn Monroe it was because of Audrey Hepburn. And she still feels this way. She's just like, Mommy, I like Marilyn Monroe, but she's kind of whorish. And Audrey Hepburn is just kind of sophisticated and classy. And I'm like, well, that's just kind of how they were meant to portray the characters or whatever. And she's like, no. I mean, outside of the movies too. And I'm like, no, I don't think Marilyn, she gets a bad rap. Just like Hedy Lamarr. You know,
I agree with that.
that's another one that all they saw was beauty. Nobody saw the brains beneath it. And she gets a bad rap because she was a beautiful woman and she did what she needed to do to become who she became, which was the norm back then. And they typecasted her. And that's just, it's sad when you find out how intelligent she really was.
Well, and the only correction I would make, I think, with Hedy Lamarr because of her war experience, right? Because she was so active and important in the war effort. She had a different type of credibility that was different than the movie stars only. And I think the problem for my generation, you guys are close enough in age, I guess, the Gen Xers and such, we were still getting, I think, a lot of the reaction from our parents to the JFK and Sinatra relationship stuff. Like there was still a lot of conversation about that. It wasn't like out of pop culture yet. So her reputation centered, I think, a lot more about that because they were still dealing with that, if that makes sense. Arwyn, you're her biggest fan among our little circles. Is that a fair way to describe the Gen Xers reaction to her though? Because I mean, I think that's where it comes from.
I think so. I do think so. And I know with my kids, I mean, they grew up with me talking about Marilyn. So they probably have a better, I don't want to say better, but maybe a more rounded view of who she really was just because they grew up hearing me talk about her than maybe they would have if who's Marilyn Monroe? I don't care who Marilyn Monroe is, if I never talked about her. But the thing is, she did have a very tumultuous personal life. There was no denying that. It's kind of like the double-edged sword, her fame and her success, although they propelled her into this wealth and this stardom and this, people adored her. There's also what comes along with that. The bad part of that life, the broken relationships, the insecurity, the doubt, the control, being under control of the studios. There was all that side that came along with it. And part of Marilyn's problem, and again, this was great for her career, but part of her problem was that she was too damn good at this type of role. She ate, breathed, and slept. And to me, when I was doing Involve and I was still involved with acting and all that, this is not easy to do. To play this kind of, she's a bubblehead, but she's not really a bubblehead, but she's breathy and she's fun and she's ditzy, but she's not. To play that kind of a role is actually very difficult. She nailed it. It was one thing she was born to do. And she kind of got stereotyped with that and combining that with her tumultuous life. And she did make some bad decisions. Let's face it, she did.
Sure.
People now kind of look back and go, she was just the blonde bombshell. When in reality, as a person and as an actress, she was so much more. But it was also a time, when Hollywood, when you were more, I think, shaped by your image and who you played than you are today. They had a little more control about your publicity. They had a little more control about what was acceptable to do, what wasn't, and all this stuff. So she played these roles. She got cast in these roles. She nailed these roles. And after a while, it was just kind of like, well, that's all she can do. When it wasn't, but it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, typecasting like that, you couldn't climb out from that back then for sure. So.
Yeah,
No,
she tried
she-
to climb out of that before she died. She was doing another film, and she was trying to climb out of that, and it just.
Well, she had just wrapped up Misfits with Clark Gable.
Yeah, and what was the name of that? What was the name of the film she was filming? Shoot, I don't remember. It was she was actually working on a film. It was a color film. She had gotten in shape. She had lost some weight. She kind of started to take control of her health a little bit. It's blanking, but anyway, yeah. That's why there's the whole big conspiracy, because she was working on a film. They're like, well, did she or didn't she do it? Who knows at this point? It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to touch on this great comment, Scott. Johnny Dangerously. It is so good. It is. It has become our second biggest Talk Hard episode. I don't quite know why it's gotten legs.
I love that movie.
We had such a blast talking about it, and I don't think Loki even made that one. I think it's one we'll have to go back and do again, because I'm sure that Squeaky hasn't seen that one. It is so zany and silly. It's a regular watch for us, and yeah, it does not get old. It's one of those movies that was so big for us when we were young that those quotes kind of are in our regular dialogue. Like, we'll quote that movie. So if you're not a child of the 80s, I mean, our kids have grown up with it, so they know, but some people are like, well, I have no idea what people are talking about. So
yeah,
which is more fun for us. So yeah, Sunset Boulevard. Yeah, a flash moving around 1920s, 1950s kind of thing for sure. She thinks she's perfect example there. Sure. And Candle the Wind, right? Yeah, great, very hit song. The Marilyn Monroe's Memory later. Yeah, they used it. Yeah, that definitely is that pop culture Gen Xer type stuff. Put this out there. Now, for Corey and others that don't know the movie, we'll just kind of do a little plot catch up, make sure everybody understands where we're at. They ended up witnessing a murder by those gangsters, and in the process, they're kind of on the lam. They don't know what to do. They have gone about jobs, and they find out that there's no jobs, and there's a female troupe looking for musicians, and they're kind of trapped because they don't know what to do. And then when this murder takes place, it's this thing happens. They know they've been caught. They know they've been seen, and they kind of panic, and then they come up with this scheme, and they just kind of show up. They're basically the musicians, and there they are. And it's really tricky for me because Tony Curtis looks better in the face, but the voice shows it. Jack Lemmon looks off, but he sells it more. If that makes any sense for those of you at home that haven't seen it. So it is just the first phase of the comedic insanity that ensues, because unlike most movies that would just get to the resort to have something happen, oh no, they decide that we're going to have shenanigans on a train. Now, they don't get credit, I don't think. You guys will tell me where they don't get credit for filming these sequences, how difficult this would be. They're filming down this aisle, basically, right? And then they cut. Now, they're going to obviously have a little studio work, but to have Marilyn curl up inside of the little compartment with Jack Lemmon in drag. Now, he's obviously been oogling over all of the half-dressed women the whole time.
Yeah.
All right. It doesn't even have to be Marilyn Monroe. You have that many hot chicks around you. I just don't personally think you can hide being a man very long, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. I was hoping Daryl would be here to have my back with this theory, because I don't know. I don't know what you would do.
You better dig deep. That's all I'm saying. You better
I would
dig
be
deep and do
isolated a lot
something.
more than these characters would.
Yeah.
My wife couldn't walk around like this and for me to be able to conceal that I'm a man. I don't even understand.
Right.
I'm just saying, At least you guys are laughing along with me. I thought I'd be treated like a perv, but I'm like,
I've
Not
thought
at
that
all.
many times. Look, we've all thought it watching this movie. How in the world, as the characters, of course,
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon and Tony Cruz, but it's like,
Yeah.
all right, boys.
well, I've always said, again,
especially
I
when they get in there and start tickling him.
well, yeah, we'll jump ahead a little on the spoiler side, but at one point they all keep showing up for the party. The party's in number 7B, and they're all in there with him. Now, I have always wondered, like, as an actor anyway, to control yourself with some of these hot ladies, like, I just have a hard time. Just the concept, like, you got to be kidding me. How on earth do you not embarrass yourself just by, my God, look at who you're with? Like, it's just professional or not. You're like, dear Lord, look at them. So for me, and Arlen, you've heard me say this a million times. We've been on different shows talking about this. I don't know, Arlene, if you've heard me. I'm a Grace Kelly nut. I can't get past it. She's a real life princess. She Rear Window melts me into goo. I'm just yeah. The comedic stuff here, guys. And you guys in chat, am I okay? Let's see. Scott's got my back. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Corey, see, thank you. Marilyn Monroe and all these hot ladies. It's like, how?
Although,
Maybe they gave him saltpeter.
I don't know. So I think
go ahead, Pops. So then
I was just going to say, I think that's part of what makes the joke so good is because every man in their brain is like, come, you got to be like, it's not going to be spoken as much. Definitely not in the 1950s to the 1960s. Definitely would not be a point of conversation in the 20s and 30s and such.
Right.
But for those of us now, we're watching this and going, oh, dear Lord, you got to be kidding. There's no, like, no. They're in their 90s. Like, they're in their 90s. Like, yeah. Yeah, Corey, if I haven't sold you, I don't know. I'm just telling you, it's just the antics are, help me keep me honest, right, ladies? It's cheeky and fun with as much innuendo you can get to without ever going there.
Without crossing the line. Yeah.
Never, ever gets. And because you really are almost cheering for him. You really are almost like cheering for him. That it would be part of the cover-up is that he's secretly outing himself to all of the women. They're all that would literally could have been the story arc or the I don't believe you ever remake a movie like this, but you could just go, I won't make something like it hot, but I'll just retell the story with different stuff. And that would be my spin on it. It would be like, well, he doesn't able to hold himself, but one by one on the trip, each girl's figuring out that he's not, if you know what I mean.
One of these things is not like the other.
Thank you, Arlie. That's fantastic. I wish I had preloaded a little. That would be so funny right now. Kathy, thank you. Emojiing it up. Love it. I love it. So, Birdcage. Yeah, that is one of those that's kind of on my to-do list, Fred, because it came with that giant. If you search my channel, there's a little MGM. They're looking for promotion because they had this like 100 movies for $100 thing. Mm-hmm. So they said, and I said, well, I will do 20 videos between now and the end of the year. And I've done like 6 or 7. So I'm getting close to halfway, but I got to kind of get on the stick a little bit. But yeah, Birdcage is among that list for sure. I wouldn't mind rewatching Birdcage. I have a good time with that one. So
Robin Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. And just really just, this is, I have to be honest on the rewatches. I think what I was taking note of, Arwyn, was how dense the story is. Like there's a lot happening in a short amount of time, if that makes sense.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It's actually, it's 3 different stories woven into one, really. And it is seamless. And it's just a tribute to their writing staff, I guess. Mm-hmm. But sure. I agree. Oh, and fun trivia. I haven't fact checked this, so it's one of the things that I read. My late husband used to get. My kids will sometimes still get me those. The really thick magazines that are like $10, and they're not really magazines. They're really booklets at the supermarket and you buy them, and it's like about Marilyn Monroe or Lucille Ball or whatever.
Like a life tribute. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, they got me one on this time on Marilyn Monroe, and it had a huge thing on it about Some Like It Hot. And I remember reading in her contracts, she had gotten to a point in her career where she had it contracted that all of her films would be color from a certain point on.
Yes.
This was supposed to be in color.
I can
But-
fact check true you on this. I know this story. So fact check true on this. Keep going.
Okay, good. But the makeup, they had to put so much makeup on Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis that it ended up in color looking almost green.
That's correct. They
Oh,
look
God.
like
So they had to do it in black and white to make it look more believable. Because everyone's in black and white. I died when I read that because I was a makeup artist for a while, professional makeup artist. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to like the Lucy thing too, where a lot of the dresses, if you do the actual color, they
Yeah.
couldn't do them right because they wouldn't want to. If you put her in like the pinks and if you put them in the actual colors, it doesn't look right because it was made for black and white. It wouldn't look good in color. So the colorization of some of the I Love Lucy episodes have her like in a green dress and things that it almost seems like odd. Like it just kind of it's almost like abrupt. But they had to do that because if you use the actual thing, it doesn't translate well to color. It just didn't work. So they had
Like
to make that decision for the same reason.
The Shirley Temple that they put in color. I hate those in color.
Yeah, same problem, right? They didn't adapt them right. They
Yeah.
did because they tried to keep it honest, but what works in black and white does not always work in color for sure.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so that's your plot update before they get to where they're going to play, which is at this resort, and we get our unsung hero of the movie is this fella. So I'm not going to spoil it. All I'm going to say is just don't discount the secondary character. He falls for Jack Lemmon's character. She panics and doesn't stick with they were going to call it, instead of Joe and Jerry, they were going to be Josephine and Geraldine. He panics and says Daphne. It's played for a gag. It kind of works well because Daphne's so over the top. It kind of works well.
Daphne.
He falls for Daphne immediately. I think he pinches her butt here, right? Isn't that kind of what happened? I think this is the first time.
I know her shoe falls off and he puts her, she's like, suit yourself. And then woo, your ankle. He starts feeling up her ankle. And she's like, fresh. Or he's like, fresh.
Yeah.
I
love
all into Daphne. He's all into Daphne.
Yeah, I love this guy. His name is Joe Brown. There's an E for a middle initial. He's been in a lot of stuff. The thing that we knew him most from was Mad World and Around the World in 80 Days. Now, off the top of my head, I didn't know of anything else he'd been in. Slasher Fred, you're kind of like the guru that's really right with us right now, so I'm sure you'll have two other things for me. But I love this character in this movie. I'm telling you what, Arlena, you just have to do we not have enough references to this guy? Like we need more tributes to this guy for sure. So.
He's amazing.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Hollywood Graveyard, it's a YouTube channel that I watch. I think his was one of the graves that they visited, and they go through when he's visiting the grave site. He tells you a little bit of the history of the person and what they've done. I think he did a lot more stuff than just a few movies.
Oh no! I was sorry. I did not mean to imply only a couple movies. No, I meant to imply those are the couple that I knew him from.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But I do remember him from being in Hollywood Graveyard, and he has like a lot.
Yes.
A lot of stuff.
Past the 50s, I start to kind of get lost a little bit. Where a lot of the movies that I've seen, I don't necessarily have them totally well registered in my brain. I don't do great with remembering some of the more obscure silent films and stuff that I watched because I haven't really been watching them since then. I'll be perfectly honest. So, he dates. He's got it predate. Cause obviously, he's an older man. He's not like he's 20. So his stuff's going to date back into the 40s and beyond for sure. So,
well, and if you've never watched Hollywood Graveyard.
I'm writing it down because I don't think that's on my regular to-do list. Good. So,
and he does original shorts. Arwyn saw a couple of them and fell in love with them.
You can tell he loves film. He loves Golden Age of Hollywood. He loves the whole process. He's very respectful. Anything that he does, he's very respectful to these performers and their graves and all that. Yeah, it's really nice to see somebody focusing on these, golden age performers because you don't really hear a lot about them anymore.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's fantastic. A lot of fun. So then our antics change to they're going to be in a room and they're going to figure out how to navigate their time. Quickly, just I figure out how to get. I gotta get. There you go. Okay, so we got a little bellboy guy. He's got the hots for Josephine. So
Josephine.
They each. I know.
Sorry.
They each have their
Look
own
how tall he
admirer.
is.
Yes,
He's like
this is
so
itty bitty tiny little bellboy. Like he's so little. And it's funny what the kid has so much sass though, right? I mean, he's a sassy little fella. So I don't even know the kid's name, but I can tell you what, he does good for a couple laughs here and there. And it does start to set up the next phase of twist is for them to figure out how they're going to navigate moving around. Well, Josephine has already been spending time with Sugar, Marilyn Monroe's character, and he's got this whole backstory of, her fantasy is to fall in love with a man who's rich and has a yacht. She's got a little checklist, right? So he steals the suitcase, right? The missing suitcase. And he starts to transform. He changes into his alter ego. And there he is right here.
God.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure you ladies know the story about the Cary Grant thing. Like he just decides, I'm just going to play it like a Cary Grant. Cary Grant, like I guess, took offense to that, right? I don't sound like that.
He did.
He did. So he sounded like Cary Grant.
I didn't know he took offense to it.
Of course he does, because Cary Grant was so. I don't even understand because like everyone made fun of Cary Grant, like everyone, like the Flintstones, right? The famous Flintstones, the Granite Cary. I mean, it's.
I don't know.
So,
maybe he didn't have a sense of humor about it at this point.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, there comes a point when it's like, man, I am a trope because this is the way I sounded. Everyone's imitating the way I must. Cary Grant had to come to terms with that at some point.
Well, it's like Jimmy Stewart as well. Yeah. Both of them did very distinct talking patterns.
Yes.
So,
no
100%.
escaping it. No escaping.
Yeah.
Wow, she is something.
She really was. And to inject a little seriousness that I wish Hollywood would learn this today. You'd think they'd have enough time to learn it, but there are a couple of times when the guys start in here talking about, well, dang, I got my butt pinched, and how do they walk in these things? And what do women have to put up with that we as men don't? And it's beautiful because it's done in a comedy, but it's also when they're having this conversation, it's kind of like, yeah, maybe women really do, particularly at the time, we're liberated now, darn it. We're empowered and all that good stuff. But yeah, at the time, maybe they did have to put up with some things that guys didn't. So it's kind of nice to see that little injection of reality talked about in a film with two guys kind of commiserating. And it's brilliant the way they do it. It's not preachy. It's not in your face. It's just, hey, geez, how do they walk in these things? How do they, my God, I keep getting whistled at and I'm not even pretty. I got pinched and I'm not even pretty. But, I loved it. And I thought, that's really actually kind of clever. There's so many conversations that this movie could open up to have. And this was done in the 50s. And like Arlena said, it's about the characters take place in the 30s. Yeah. So, and here we are, 2024. We could have these conversations. We really could because they were trying to then.
Well, I tell you, and we talked briefly, I think it was before the show, Arwyn and I are going to be on together. We're going to talk about Fantasy Island. This is Pops and I are down the Fantasy Island rabbit hole, the Love Boat rabbit hole. Arwyn brought up Murder, She Wrote, which is kind of lesser to my point here, but those old shows, which even more sitcoms were probably driven more to what my point is with this, is they actually by agenda purposely put things in there to make conversation of it all, to quote, lecture us at home, to change culture. Now, they didn't do it to lecture or to preach to us, as Corey said, but what they would do is they would illustrate, hey, listen, through this comedy, when the guys are in drag and they're getting their butts pinched and they comment on it, hey, you at home, maybe you wouldn't want your butt pinched. Maybe you can see yourself through the lens, like that you can get again, right? Talk about All in the Family. We talk about Different Strokes. Talk about the Jeffersons. Talk about all, whether it be race, whether it be gender, all these different things. It was illustrating the struggles, sympathy and empathy, and all these different emotions that we would get through. This is why I get so ticked off at where we ended up in 2024, or definitely over the last 10 years.
Yes.
Because I feel like our generation was taught, hey, listen, we ended up really not caring about race. We really didn't have this, anti-female attitude about things. We really were just kind of chill with most issues. I mean, sure, there are going to be a-holes in a percentage of having a large enough population, but we would shame people who acted out of line. And instead, we've regressed now into this, we can't talk about it nonsense. And I think, Arwyn, you were so dead on with that. It was so well done in this film. That was something Mrs. Pops and I definitely noted and commented on. Arlena, help me therapeutically get off the couch, because I could stay on this forever, I think.
Well, no, I was going to give you an example too, and I think I'm pretty sure that you've reviewed it. Blazing Saddles.
Oh, it's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Mel Brooks did that movie to show how stupid it was for people to be that way.
Yes.
You know, that was the whole point to it. But
well, Richard Pryor and Mel Brooks did something I don't think anybody. We've been discussing Blazing Saddles a lot because it's the anniversary. It's in theaters. Actually, tonight is probably the last time for the 50th anniversary screening. But it is one of those things where Richard Pryor did the script. The only reason he wasn't the black sheriff was because he was strung out on coke, and the studio wouldn't let him do it. They had to find someone else. But he and Mel Brooks pushed every single button you could think of for that era. You remember how sexist the other Mel Brooks role is as like the mayor with the big boobed assistant, and then he's the Indian chief that speaks Yiddish. You know what I mean? It was just wow. Scott, congratulations, man. I'm so happy for you, man. It's got to be just it is. All right, I'm going to shock you guys. Are you ready? Squeaka had not seen it.
What? Oh, Blazing Saddles, really?
Yeah, we put it on the top. We kind of have this revolving list where we have like the movie of the week that she has to review for Talk Hard Now, and then we try to add one or two that if she can get to, and we had to like move Blazing Saddle way up because I'm like, it is. I mean, I don't even know that because I think I don't have necessarily a favorite comedy, but I have a favorite comedy for certain types of times or situations, right? So you can't always be in the mood. There's not always a perfect line. Like I'm with Arwyn, right? When I feel a certain way, if I can't do Lord of the Rings, I'm going to do I Love Lucy. And then, it's like you have a gradient for where you're at with things. The comedy is the same way. Like sometimes I need dodgeball. Sometimes I need, dodge a wrench. That's what I need. There's other times where I need where the white women at. I need Blazing Saddles. So this is
you know what made me watch Blazing Saddles? The first time I saw Blazing Saddles was after I saw Robin Hood Men in Tights. Because he says in the movie, a black sheriff, well, it worked in Blazing Saddles. So then I'm like, okay, I gotta watch Blazing Saddles. What is this? And then I went back and I was so dead. Oh my God, I was so dead.
Man, you're proving another point that I have. Again, PSA from Pops, another note of home. For anyone from the comic book industry who wants to understand why you're losing money, when I would read comic books and as a child and into my college years when I was revisiting stuff that I liked when I was younger, there were all these footnotes that would explain to the kid at home like where these references came from. So it'd be like Thor's talking to Captain America about, well, I have to get home to Asgard, such and such is happening. And then it would have a little footnote, see Thor number 343. And as a kid, you would go like, oh crap, I got to go buy Thor 343 so I can know what the inside joke is, right? We had the exact same thing that would happen whenever we'd watch different shows. We were talking about this because when we did Lucy, we were talking about Superman. We were talking about George Reeve being on with with Lucy, right? And we're like, as a kid, we grew up with all of these cameos and appearances and Love Boat, Fantasy Island, all these different things. And it's like, it was regular because I was watching the Fantasy Island where they're doing baseball and they actually have like 4 or 5 baseball superstars of that time. George Brent, Steve Garvey. Now, again, most people now don't know those names, but at the time, as a
They
kid,
were huge.
Yeah.
I was like, man, my world is like you just kept expanding everywhere. It's all cross pollination. Now there's all these barriers. It's all weird about cameos and social media and all that. And I'm like, I just don't feel like it has a connection to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
following someone on Facebook or social media, Twitter, or whatever, it's different than watching them on a Love Boat episode or something. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just me.
I agree with
what
that.
I grew up with. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's just you.
Yeah, I agree. With
Yes.
Let me come back to the zany. So, for those of you at home, we need to have a little plot help. The fact that Tony Curtis's character races back in time to get into the bathtub in time. That's where he's supposed to be as Josephine. So he has to race back to get in wig in time. And then later, when Jack Lemmon runs inside thinking that he's been busted, and he stands up, he's like, "How did you? What on earth?" He's giving him the what for. And then, of course, he stands up and he's covered, and they keep the suds on him. Like,
Yeah.
Arlene, Arwyn, you had to know there had to be someone in charge of suds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure
best.
between takes they were like, "We need the suds, lady. Come
Yep.
suds it up."
Yep.
We're losing subs, people.
Yeah, they're off camera making suds and trying to keep up with the suds. So,
Yes. Oh,
such a
God,
great
I love it.
sort of like gag that just works really well. Oh, here's our guy. So the best part of this, and I don't want to totally spoil it for someone like Corey or anyone else who hasn't seen the movie. If you're just kind of watching it for the first time, you're casually watching it, it just feels like a little side subplot that's just kind of a, he's got a hots for Jack Lemmon's character. And that's all I'm going to say. Just hang in there with me, though. Because, right, ladies, it pays off in spades.
Oh,
it
yes.
does.
It absolutely does.
And can I say that I think Tony Curtis is the originator of this trend, the duck lips. Because I swear, when he stands around as Josephine, if he purses those lips anymore, they're going to go flying off of his face. He's got these big, bougie, bubbly lips. That, like, when I saw this not too long ago, I was like, oh my God, yeah, duck lips. That's what they remind me of. He's got these, and he rarely smiles as a chick. You notice that? He's, you got Jack Lemmon with all the teeth, and you got Tony Curtis just kind of, I'm Josephine.
Yeah.
Movie.
Yeah. I can't really hold what I said earlier, what I thought about the earlier shot when on the train, where I thought Josephine was made up and looked more feminine, but Jack Lemmon's character sold it. Now it's kind of reversed in the latter half of the movie because he's playing the guy character as well. So there's like three different Tony Curtis is technically playing three different characters. He's playing Joe, Josephine, and then the fake millionaire. So
I still don't know how they. I still look at this, and you're right. For the time, I mean, they couldn't even say the word breast when Joe grabs him at one point, and Tony Curtis is like, "You ripped one of my chests."
Oh, that's so right. That's so good. That was way back here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was right. It was right. Right after they met him and they did the song.
Right.
Yeah. It's
back in here, right? Where
here,
they're trying to. Yeah, they're trying to get in.
Oh, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Look at all the goodies and treats. And Joe grabs him. And, you're a man. You're a man. It's like, you ripped one of my chests.
And now you ripped the other one off or something. It was way back in here.
The other one. They couldn't even say that. But look at this. This is a very adult theme. They're going here with the mob and cross-dressing and all. It's just, oh my God, y'all. It's a great film.
It is.
I love it.
And I have a fun story.
Yes.
The hotel that you see in the movie is the Hotel Coronado in Coronado, California, which I went to quite a few times.
Really?
And it's still there, and they have the whole bottom floor. It's not a basement, but the whole bottom floor. When I was there anyway, this is late 90s, early 2000s. They have a whole museum type thing dedicated to Some Like It Hot and other movies that have been filmed there. But of
Oh.
course, Some Like It Hot being the most famous movie that was filmed there. Huge section of it, and then they have a really nice restaurant and everything. And it looks pretty much the same as it does in this movie.
I always thought it was stunning. I always
It
thought it was
is.
so stunning, and
It
I bet
is
it
a
looks
gorgeous
5 times
hotel.
better in person. Ooh,
That's crazy.
and the
Yep.
Wow, cool.
clothes. Look at the clothes, y'all.
It's like, so I'll make sure I clarify too. There's like, you can, it's almost like a tribute area. That makes sense. Like a little
Yeah,
museum.
it's the bottom floor, so it's not a basement. But when you go into the hotel lobby, they have the elevator or the stairs, and you go down. And that whole bottom, it's a hallway, and it's all memorabilia and pictures and stories of mostly from Some Like It Hot, and then from other movies that have been filmed there.
How cool! I'd love to see that.
All right.
And there's a
okay, wait here. I think I found it.
yeah, there's a base that's on Coronado Island. And you can take military hops, and that's where I took a couple military hops back to this side of the coast of the U.S. Yeah.
Wow.
Hotel del Coronado. Yeah.
Museum and tours. There we go.
That is so cool.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
That is super, super cool.
That's history right there. That is history.
Look how cool this is. I'm like, I spying already the stuff on the walls. Like, oh, look at that. Look at
Right? I love it. I love that picture of Marilyn too. What a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
And they have well, when I was there, like I said, it might have changed by now, but you see, so in some of the walls, it's like encased in glass, and it has actual memorabilia from items that they use.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it has some of their costumes and stuff.
Oh, does it have the white beaded dress that she wears at the end?
I have no idea.
I need to look that up.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember going there, and I remember seeing all of the stuff. I mean, we're talking over 20 years ago. I remember they had the costumes there, and they had all of this stuff. I don't remember which costumes it was, but I remember it was in glass, built into the wall in glass. And you were walking down the hallway, and on both sides of you is just glass and stuff enclosed in glass, and it's all memorabilia and photos and stories and histories. Of course, in there too, they have the history of the hotel itself, because the hotel itself has a huge, big old history. But it was great. It was so much fun, and it's free. Well, it was then. It's in California, so it might not be free now, but back then it was free.
I didn't look. I closed the page, but if you just Google the Hotel Coronado, or you can put Some Like It Hot Hotel, just a combination like that, it should come up. And I think that the answer to your question, Arwyn, probably is that things like memorabilia like that are owned by the studios or whoever actually owns them, like the maybe it was the Curtis family or the Len, whatever it may be, will rotate them through. They get on loan, right?
That
so
makes
they'll rotate
sense.
out. Yeah. So if you visit stuff out here in Florida near the studios, whether that be a Disney one or a Universal, those kind of, they rotate stuff. So it's been really cool over the years being here, being able to go to those two general amusement areas that you end up over time. We've seen like one of the Mary Poppins carousels, right? We've seen the Ark from Raiders of the Lost Ark. We've seen, well, one of the arcs. I'm sure there's multiple arcs, but we've seen one of the arcs. They rotate these things through, and they used to have more of that experience. They used to be more of the foundation of some of the studios. What is now Hollywood Studios for Disney? What is Universal Studios? These have big boneyards. So they actually had one of the sharks, one of the Jaws sharks. They had one of the. It wasn't the Bruce. There's multiple ones, but it was a Bruce. I've seen a snow speeder, things like that. Right? They have these massive boneyards. It's just those are less common now. I think it's part of the tragedy of them becoming more of an amusement park and less film appreciation. But yeah, that stuff rotates by whoever owns it. I will say there actually is some documentaries you can look up online as well. It takes you behind the scenes. So if you're a big fan of anything, you just put it in and put like Tron documentary, and you'll find a 25 minutes on them doing the restoration of the Flynn arcade sign or things like that. You'll find that they have this stuff. So it's out there. So if you're a big fan of something like it hot, then I'm sure you'll find more. So very, very cool.
Nice.
All right, so we get quickly into like the little love story subplot. Arwyn's talking about earlier. Like we got a few different little subplots that are playing out. This is the big one for Joe. He's falling for Sugar. He's scamming her in some ways, and then they just start making out 1950 style, where it's all about getting your glasses foggy, and if you know what I mean. And that's where we take it. And now they're feuding a little bit because things are getting out of control. And my goodness, like I said, I have no idea how you can maintain the facade that you're a female when this is what you're around, but okay. Then the mobsters show up, and it's beautifully done. Let me see if I can get to the actual frame of. Oh, it's gonna be tricky seeing it, right? Because it's in like a reflection of the mirror, right? Isn't that how he sees them? Doesn't he have like a little mirror that he opens or something? Yeah, right there in his hand. Yep.
Yeah.
I passed it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, right there. I missed it just a little bit right there. They're talking.
I think it's lipstick.
Look at her. Look at his face.
Oh my God. And these two just were magic together. They were magic.
There it is. Look at that shot.
Sees the spats. Oh no, we're in trouble.
So Max and I talked about this with like Wizard of Oz, right? The whole, if you go back and watch Wizard of Oz, to me, one of the most beautiful scenes ever made was the scene where she's in Sepia and she's going to step into Munchkin Land. Because they have the stunt woman, playing one Dorothy, and then Judy Garland steps through into the color, right? This is another one of those shots that, okay, guys, 1958 when this is filmed. This is Hitchcock level attention to detail. This is Billy Wilder does not get the credit he deserves for putting this together the way he did.
I agree.
That's a special shot right there. That's really nice.
Agreed.
Like in Psycho, the year later, when Hitchcock does the reflection in the glasses, right? When the police officer pulled her over and it stuns her and she jumps up and you have those glasses looking at her. I'm like, yeah, this is that kind of stuff. Just beautiful, beautiful.
The original, is it Haunting at Hill House? The original black and white one.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
oh my
Yep.
God, that scared me so much because the things that they did in that movie is unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh,
I won't even watch it today. Not by myself. That movie
so
freaked
good.
me out.
That's all I was getting ready to say. That's on my watch list for October. I have my little Halloween type watch list I put together. So I have Haunted. Yeah, it's an anniversary year for that one as well. So
Is it really?
that was. Yeah, that's definitely on the watch list. I've got about a dozen or so. I thought about doing a stream and trying to open it up to everybody else for things that I should watch, but it gets a little dicey because people have crazy ideas. So,
yeah,
I bet.
But all right, so then we get into the final like 20 minutes or so. It's them racing around, figuring out how to escape the mobsters, wrapping up some loose ends with Sugar, and basically telling her, he goes in and out of his voices, telling her, I'm going to run away. And then there's really this sad little moment. Does she actually cry, Arwyn? Is there a tear? Because if you feel like, even if she's not, you feel like you are.
Yeah. Well, that again goes to her brilliance as an actress. She also had the ability to come across extremely vulnerable on the screen. And you actually buy into it. It's like, is she upset? Is she crying? Is she not? I mean, she isn't in this particular, we see a little tear. But yeah, I mean, I was heartbroken for Sugar, even though I know the whole story. I was still like, dang, Joe, you're cold. You're cold, boy. You just broke my girl's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I had to get to this shot. I'm sorry. I jump around, folks. For the you at home watching, I'm so sorry that I'm skipping around while we're talking, but I had to get to this gag because there's got to be a million people out there that do not understand this gag. So, Arlena, for us, we know people who did this. So, right, it's just one of those. Everyone our generation, our age, probably knows someone that filled a water bottle full of booze at one point or another. This happens. Sorry for those of you at home. We didn't have heating pads that plugged into the wall yet. Sorry,
No.
would have burnt the house down. Okay, just so you guys know at home. I know you guys.
Well, I did, but I do know these because I used to stay with my mama and papa who lived in the middle of nowhere and still had an outhouse. So yes, I do know about these.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I don't remember having. I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say I don't remember. We didn't have a heating pad. We did have a heating pad later, but I mean, I remember being hot water bottles. Right? They're hot water bottles. They at least, again, Arwyn and Arlena, you guys, they set. This is a setup and payoff. Right? This was set up during the train sequence. Right? Because they're filling the bottles and they're hiding their booze and. So she races in the room and she grabs this thing. And I have to be honest, I think if my kid watched this or something, for those of you at home who don't know, a hot water bottle is like this rubber bag. Is that the best way to call it, right?
Pretty much.
And you would you boil water.
Pouch.
You would boil water, fill it up, and it would be this hot thing. So you have a hot compress for, feeling better, injuries, whatever. And they had filled it with booze on the train. And she races into the room feeling like that Joseph has what is his fake character's name?
What
as
is his name? Hang on, let me.
He has some crazy name, right? I don't remember. What does he call his crazy name? I closed the window. Anyway, breaks up with her basically. So she just grabs the hot water bottle and just starts chugging booze. And
Junior. Junior,
Shell right?
Oil Junior.
Shell Junior.
Oil Junior.
Shell Junior. Yeah, Daddy, and he refers to Daddy. Daddy's calling me back or something. I just started laughing at.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, so I thought I would at least try to explain the hot water bottle gag for some folks because that one seemed like that one seemed pretty deep. DJ Ronnie G is in the house. Hey, brother. Awesome, man. All right, so the antics, again, beautiful filming, right? Some mobsters, they're trying to get away. But what's actually happening is they lower themselves down right there, right by where the mobsters are, and it's fantastic. They're just, oh, it's so good.
I mean, the hotel was a character at this point because you'd seen so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
Yeah, I love this shot. I love them hanging there. Set up and pay out.
They're like,
How do you keep a straight face on set when this is the antics that are in place?
Oh, I'm sure it probably took several takes.
Yeah, it had to. And to be fair to Pops, when you're talking about, well, how do you not show reveal you're a man? Look, there are studio lights. There are people everywhere. There are cut. It's not as set. These filming is not as sexy.
I understand.
As it seems. It's really not.
I've been on sets, but when you're talking about Grace Kelly or Marilyn Monroe, or just,
fair.
Then you basically just get antics and hijinks for like a whole bunch of running around and silliness. Possibly one of the funniest little gags in all of cinema history. They're racing away. One's pushing the other, and you can't really see it in that shot. I don't know which shot it is. I think it's this one, right? When they're running away, he has his heels still on. So Jack Lemmon still has the heels. I'll take the copyright strike. I don't care. I'll figure it out.
Yes.
So yeah, the giveaway when they come off the elevator, he still has the heels on. And then they're trying to hide out where. So the mobsters have like a get together, which I thought was also very funny. So this was very, very reminiscent of Lucky Luciano era, where all the 5 bosses would get together at the commission. They'd have these big get-togethers. Obviously, the mob was known to be in cahoots with like hotels and things of that nature. And then it turns into like another hit. Like they tend to be witnesses again, basically.
Yes.
With the birthday, jump out of the birthday cake cliche to attack somebody. Look at, they're just laying there dead. Look at this poor guy. I laughed. I don't know if you guys catch some moments like that. Look at this poor guy. He has to stay like this. Through
I
multiple
would have
cuts.
been one of the ones that had to lay down on the table.
But at least you can lay down.
Yeah.
This guy has. That's my point. Like he didn't get to lay flat. He's like laying at an angle with his neck all cockeyed. And anyway, so they try to sneak out again, and then they have the shot of Marilyn, who's, as my wife pointed out, she is barely in this dress.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa! I don't think I really. I mean, I pick up on it in a way. I'm sure more subconsciously than consciously, but I'm like, wow, that is so Jessica Rabbit. Holy cow!
Yes, that beating is very specifically placed.
Mhm.
They knew exactly what they were doing with that gorgeous dress. Oh,
Insane.
yeah.
That's insane. So, yeah, Fred's pointing out that Tootsie has sort of an homage ending with the character takes off the wig. Yeah, I agreed. We're gonna again, spoiler warning a little bit as we get a little closer with how it kind of shapes up with everyone's gonna race to kind of get away, and she's gonna race out to the boat and try to be there with Tony Curtis's character, who says, I'm actually like the guy you always fell for. I'm the crook. I'm the crappy guy. And she's like, I don't care. I love you. She's not learning a lesson at all. She's still in it for the guy. So, however, the movie becomes, again, total spoiler warning for those of you at home. You don't want to know, haven't seen it. I totally get it. I don't know what to tell you. This is by far one of the best payoffs.
Yes, it is.
I can't marry you. I can't give you children. I can't, it's like he's going through his little list.
I smoke all the time. Your mother will hate it. I don't care. I smoke. I drink. I can't have kids.
Yes. It doesn't get old like at all, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No.
Can you guys hear? Let's see if we'll turn it up and see if you guys. That was the dress.
I can't
Okay.
hear it.
I'm going to level you. We can't get married.
Why not?
I'm not a natural blonde. Doesn't matter. I smoke. I smoke all the time. I don't care. I have a terrible past. For 3 years now, I've been living with a saxophone player. I forgive you.
I forgive you.
I can never have children.
Just watching that, I could hear it in his voice.
We can adopt some. Look at his face. We can adopt some.
Oh my goodness.
You don't understand. Osgood? I'm a man.
I'm a man.
Nobody's perfect.
And then its face at the end.
Hey, Daphne bagged herself a real millionaire.
No, Ronnie G, it's not in the script. Don't ruin my Hollywood magic, please. Yes, I know. Truly one of the most spectacular endings. I can't tell you how much joy it made me to watch this sequence.
So good.
You guys were quoting it before we even started.
Yeah.
We were backstage and you guys were quoting it. So yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
So good. Oh gosh. And spoiler, y'all. I'll just say this one thing. Spoiler. Where Josephine in drag kisses Sugar and Sweet Sue turns around. It's them. Y'all. Now we just kind of, oh yeah, okay, whatever. You just don't bat an eye. But back then, she thought Josephine was really a woman kissing another woman. It's like, he freaks out.
Truly magnificent film. I know, Arwyn, it's kind of silly to ask you to kind of grade the film or rank the film or whatever for you, but I'll let you just go first.
Oh, I'm like the dream sequence in Christmas Story where he's sitting there and he's dreaming in class and his teacher's like, Your paper, Ralphie. A plus. That's what I give this movie. A
Fair enough.
plus. All over the chalkboard. I love it.
I love the deep cut reference. That's even better. It's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Arlena?
Oh, this definitely, for me, an A. It's a great movie. Not my favorite, because I was never really a big Marilyn fan. I
Fair.
liked her movies, but I've never loved her movies
Fair,
or loved
fair.
her. But I do have a great respect for her, and definitely an A because it was hilarious.
That's awesome. I'm kind of there with you. I think it would be top 20 comedies of all time for me, but it's not as much of a go-to for me as probably it should. It doesn't, you know what I mean? But yeah, Marilyn doesn't do it for me as much, but it is so much fun. It's so pleasant to have on. I have to be honest, rewatching it in the last couple of days has brought me a lot of joy and happiness. So I just have to do better of kind of earmarking this one into the old playlist and rotation a little bit more. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I got to check Mrs. Pop's list. I don't know if you guys have anything like this or not. I don't know, you tell me. So would it surprise anybody out there to know that just even in just the one digital file, just the whole Fandango/Voodoo file, that bucket of movies that I have where it crosses over just to the digital stuff. So we can play it on anything, right? Our phones, tablets, TVs, where we are. There's over 1,000 movies in there. I did the quick math, and it's probably about 1,200 movies.
Yeah.
So I've had to cheat and ask Mrs. Pops to make a list, and it's literally called, I won't put her name, Mrs. Pops might watch these. So out of those movies, she put 170 movies in the list. That's it. Like 170 out of over 1,200 movies.
Oh, wow.
She only put 170 in there. So those are the most rewatchable for her. So I'll have to check and see where I'm certain this one made the list, but I'm not sure where it ranks now in the list of watching. So we'll see how it plays out. You guys have a crazy system to kind of keep track of what you're in the mood for?
No, I feel like watching this at this time of year, every year movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually one or two movies a month that it's like, it's February. I think I'll watch, whatever. October is always Bram Stoker's Dracula, my number one favorite all-time movie. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. Was it 92 or 93?
It would be 93 because I did a 30th anniversary watch last year.
Yeah.
Watch my video on it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. And every October, and I usually watch that movie more than once a year, but definitely every October.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. That's good. I think my reaction to that movie was it's so much better than I remembered. Like I don't think I gave it credit. Like I did. It was so much better than I remembered. So for sure. For sure. Yeah, we have to kind of think we haven't really talked about like what would be a good October film for us because we should do something that would, like we talked about, like House on Haunted Hill or something like that.
Yes.
Something that would be vintage,
House on
but
Haunted
not.
Hill.
What do you guys think? That's not a bad option, don't you think?
I think House on Haunted Hill would be great, or any Hitchcock.
What do you think?
I'm down for that. I just got to make sure somebody watches it with me. I'm not kidding. When I was married and I had someone in the bed next to me, I could watch all kinds of scary stuff and I was fine. Now I'm like,
I want to go a little edgier, so I think I would go for the Vincent Price movie over Hitchcock, only because I think Hitchcock is more like suspense thriller. It's not really horror exactly. I was pretty tough on The Birds for that reason. Like Birds didn't really age well because it's more of a romance story for like 2/3 of the movie. Like there's so much more about relationships and stuff while all this bird stuff's transpiring, and then you get into the bird attack. So it's kind of a, it's me. I don't say it's it's not misrepresented.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
That's a good
No,
one.
I'm not trying to bash on those suggestions. I think House on Haunted Hill is probably a good choice.
Hitchcock is definitely more suspense thriller than it is horror.
Yeah. Yes, but I think for Halloween or for October, because we'll probably be out at the same time, guys. Probably about middle of October or so, whatever one of those Wednesdays are, seems to be the best place to plant our flag to do this. I'll run it by everybody else just to make sure that there's not some
Yeah.
crazy objection to that film, because I can't imagine anybody hates it.
No.
I need to watch it anyway, so that'll be my excuse
Yeah.
to put it right here on the channel with you guys.
But make sure everybody knows the original, not the remake.
Yes, the black and white one.
Yeah, Vincent
Yeah.
Price. Yeah, Vincent Price.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, I don't know what remake. I don't even know what remake we're talking about. I don't think I've ever watched it. I don't. I'm so bad at some of the stuff. I'm just like, I don't.
I think we're talking about two different movies. Hang on, y'all.
No, it's the House on Haunted Hill.
You're talking about the House on Haunted Hill, not the one where it's the chick and they go in and she doesn't believe and they investigate and it's all the creepy sounds and the creepy. You're talking about the Vincent Price one where he rents out, where it's his home and he brings the people in.
Yeah.
Okay, I can handle that one. Sorry, I thought she meant the other one. There's another one. God,
There's another one.
Well, I thought it was House on Haunted Hill, but no, there is the Vincent Price one. It's the one where there is this house and it's a black and white. I'll have to look it up, and it's haunted. And a group of like a scientist.
The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes, that's what I'm
is.
thinking of.
Yeah.
That one freaks me out. This one I'm good. I've even seen the Rip Tracks version of this one. I'm good on this one. Let's do it.
Yeah, they're both old movies, and because both of them have hill and house in them.
Yeah, I get them mixed.
Confused. But no, the Vincent Price
the
one
Haunting
is the one I'm
one
talking about.
Okay,
that's the one they
I
did the
love that
remake.
one.
The Haunting was the one with Liam Neeson, right? They did the remake with Liam Neeson. Yeah, because we saw it in the theater. That's one of that. So again, we'll close with my quick little pop story because I don't get a chance to tell some of these. And Mrs. Pops will be ticked off that I tell this story. So we are in a screening for this, and they give you like special spaces for screenings, right, as a press, but they fill it with everybody, right? They fill it with tons of people. There's kids behind us. And we'd taken a vacation, so we kind of like we're on vacation and I'm working because that's how it would work, like you kind of build it around paid vacation, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're watching this movie. Now, this is a pretty suspenseful movie, right? It's edge of your seat. It should be pretty quiet. These kids kept talking and talking, and you're trying to be polite, right? You're trying to just shh, give them a look. You're trying to let it go. You're not trying. They made me snap. I snapped in a theater, Arwyn. You're going to love me after this. I jumped up out of my seat and I know I was kind of a heathen. You may not love me as much after I tell you what I said to this poor kid.
I don't know. What'd you say?
I stood up, and I'm not a big guy, but I'm not a little guy. But you stand up in a theater and it's all dark and a suspenseful movie. And I pointed my finger at him and I leaned over and I said, "Listen, you little penis wrinkle, if you don't stop jabbing, I'm going to grab your bottom lip and pull it over your head and staple it to the back of your neck." It was quiet after that.
Pops is a badass.
It was quiet. I snapped. I would never say that now. I would definitely not be that person today, but I was that person that day. And Mrs. Pops was embarrassed. She was mortified. And I'm like, why? He was talking. And I kept talking smack. And she's sitting there like, I can't believe you said. I'm like, he was talking. I'm like, now I'm talking because I'm all, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, that's my The Haunting. I've never watched that movie again because it's now tainted by this experience. I don't think she would ever watch the movie again. She's like, "Isn't this that movie where you yelled at that kid?" I could just hear her now. Like, yeah.
That's great.
And then to conclude the story is the punchline. She claims, I don't think I heard it because I was seeing red. She claims one of the other kids leaned to the other kid and goes, "Did he call you a penis wrinkle? What's a penis?" I mean, I kid you not. That was their conversation. So, there you go. Behind the veil, behind the scenes for the 7 or 8 or people that are here listening. Because the numbers go, I don't even know what numbers to believe these days, but you've heard the story.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
Penis wrinkle.
Well, I know. Vincent Price.
I'm dead.
Next week. Next month. All right.
Yes. Here for it.
Ladies, it's been a blast. You guys,
yes.
How's the schedule going with you guys doing your shows and doing some content on your own stuff? What's going on?
Well, we kind of haven't gotten around to it. We made plans, then I got sick, then Arwyn got sick, and at this point we were just like, you know what? We're just going to not talk about the show and do all of it when it's done.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do Shield Maidens is going to do once the last episode of Wangs of Power is on, we'll do a wrap up. We'll do a season wrap
Okay.
up.
Mhm. And
Okay.
I have not watched Loki's on Fridays.
Yeah.
And I have not talked to Arwyn about any of this.
Oh, by the way, you can watch Loki's again. Loki and Dave Bob tapped out on
Did they?
apparently on the Friday morning I wasn't there. I wasn't able to be there. I came back last Friday. I had watched it. I was ready to go. And they're like, "Oh, Arwyn, we tapped out. That was our last one. We're done."
Oh, I wish I would
went,
have known. I would have been watching on Fridays again.
Yeah, so you can start
Wow.
this Friday. Watch
Okay.
it because we're not reviewing it. Because
Okay.
Well, there's so many of you that have said enough.
Yeah.
I am out. So I am
Mhm.
out. So I would be more inclined to watch what you guys are going to do as a wrap up and just take the one video hit for that and probably listen to it while I'm driving in 1.5 speed. And that'll
There
be
you
my
go.
experience. I'm not watching these
Yeah.
shows.
That's
So,
what we thought would be better. She's like, well, let's do it that way. I'm like, sure, that sounds great.
That's a good plan.
We'll
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
a wrap up.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. Well, hopefully everything will work out for next month. We'll be doing House on Haunted Hill. I got that right because
Yes!
you're right. Now you got me all twisted and turned
Yes.
sideways on my names. But this 1959 Vincent Price. So House on Haunted
Yes.
Hill.
There you go.
Freaking
Yes.
great movie. Yeah, not
Arlena,
the
watch
Haunting of
the
the
other
Hill
one.
House. That's a different
Watch
movie.
that one. Watch the original black and white, Arlena. The
Oh, I've
Haunting of
seen
Hill
it. I
House.
know.
That
Yeah,
thing
I've
is
seen both
scary.
of them.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Of
never
course.
mind then.
Yeah.
Good.
Of course.
Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
they're both. Ooh, I love them. But yeah, the Vincent
And I'm a
Price one,
huge
I can't
Hitchcock
handle.
nerd. And by the way, our good friend Lorena Creole has been doing some Psycho rewatch reaction stuff. It's freaking
Mhm.
great. Listen to her
Nice.
going through that. And I'm like, I mean, again, Universal Studios had an entire Hitchcock area. It was insane. Like
Mhm.
I was such a nerd for my Hitchcock stuff. So,
Nice.
but anyway, we'll talk more about Hitchcock another time for sure. So, well, ladies, thank you so much for doing this. You guys in chat, you guys are amazing. You really are. You really are amazing. So.
Well, thank you for
Thank
having
you for
us.
having us on.
Yeah, let's do it again. We'll have to get some more angels in here and get our Bosley back. It's not the
Mhm.
same without Bosley. So. All right. Well,
We-
let's press the
We
envelope
gotta
of
have
what
a
YouTube will.
comic relief.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we need. Well, Daryl needs be Daryl. We need to wind him up
Yeah.
and turn him loose. Like
Yeah.
Lord knows, a movie like this would have been just gold listening to him.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it would. It would have.
Anyway, we'll figure it out. All right, let's test that YouTube copyright window and see what happens. Let's play a little outro again. Take care, everybody. Be blessed. I am Pops. You've been watching Pops Angels.